Conflicting opinions on the May Day rallies. GMOA and several other trade unions to strike on Friday. Constable who opened fire at UNP insignia in Sirikota remanded. Nearly 4,000 feral dogs caused disturbance in Gampola town. Good evening and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Sandra Ferdinando.
And I'm Azra Hassan. Let's take a look at the stories in detail. The program to clean up places of worship in the Kandy town for the National Vesak Festival was launched at the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena.
The environmental program Parisaraya Pujaniyai, or The Environment is Sacred, which is organized together with the International Vesak Festival, is to be held in the sacred premises of the Dalada Maligawa in the historic city of Kandy. The President handed over 2 hand-wash equipments to the Diyavadana Nilame, Pradeep Nilangadala, for the use of the devotees visiting the temple of the Tooth Relic. President Sirisena then visited the playgrounds in Gatambe, Kandy, where the May Day rally was held yesterday, and joined in the cleaning activities of the ground.
A number of trade unions, including the GMOA, are to once again carry out a one-day strike this Friday against the controversial private medical college.
We would like to fearlessly state that we do not fear the behavior of these ministers. On the 5th of May, 21 trade unions have confirmed to us that they will go on strike. More than 100 other unions will render their support to us. We have decided that if we do not receive a proper response from the authorities, we will continuously strike from the 9th of this month.
A number of other trade unions who are to join the strike convened a joint media briefing today.
Even though the government is silent with regard to the trade union action to be held on the 5th, we are ready to go forward with it. We are ready to go beyond that as well. We will do whatever is necessary to strengthen the fight against Saitam.
We see the defeat of this as a defeat of the entire move of privatization. This is not a fight only against Saitam, but also a fight against us losing our pensions.
All the main teacher and principal trade unions in the country have pledged their support to this fight being carried out by the GMOA.
They say that the courts have given a verdict. However, there is no point in it. The law is yours. It is the people who deserve justice. Therefore, the SLTB will work with the people of this country to close Saitam on behalf of justice.
විපක්ෂය කියනවා අපි වෙසක් පොයට පස්සේ ස්ට්‍රයික් රැල්ලක් ගේනවලු.
On one hand, the joint opposition says that they will bring a string of strikes after the Vesak Poya Day. On the other hand, the GMOA says that they will strike after the Vesak Poya Day. Do you see the similarity here? They say that he will come into power within 3 months. I ask them, who is he for him to come into power? No one knows who the head of the GMOA is, especially those in the villages. Then who is it that they say will come into power? It is none other than their boss, Mahinda Rajapaksa. On a previous occasion, he publicly said that Maithripala Sirisena cannot run the government and that it should be handed over to Mahinda Rajapaksa. Today, he comes on behalf of Mahinda. We too are ready for him. All this time, we waited patiently while he played his antics. But now, we warn all the doctors and all the trade unions. All of them need to remember that we will not allow anyone to defeat us and bring that old regime back into power.
The joint opposition convened a media briefing today to comment on the May Day rally organized by the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna.
The failure of this government is reflected by the rejection of the people. Considering how anti-democratic they are, how they burden the working masses, the youth, the university students, as well as the rural communities, it is time to tell them to leave. The May Day rally headed by Mahinda Rajapaksa, where thousands of people joined, exhibits the power and the support of the people. The diplomats and the elite in Colombo did not have a clear indication of who Mahinda Rajapaksa was on the 8th of January. By permitting us to hold the May Day rally at the Golface Green, the government gave us the opportunity to show the diplomatic community as well as the elite of Colombo the caliber of our might. The IGP will investigate the police constable who shot at the UNP insignia in Sirikota, but try to understand the political motive behind this. The rejection by the people has grown even more.
Minister Patali Champika Ranawaka, the General Secretary of the Jatika Helurumya, had a different take on May Day rallies.
How many rallies of such a nature were held by Mahinda Rajapaksa, and yet he was not victorious at the elections? During their administration, an amendment was introduced for the local government elections. The Elections Commission said there needed to be 55 amendments to hold the elections. The political parties also opposed the demarcation of the electorates. The government does not have an issue now. This has been produced to the Cabinet of Ministers. When Parliament convened, the President said the elections will be held in September on a day agreed by the party leaders.
3 deaths were reported from May Day rallies yesterday. 2 people who attended the May Day rally of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna on the Golface Green died from heat stroke, while the other was run over by a bus.
One of the deceased, 80-year-old Victor Silva, had come to take part in the celebrations in Colombo from Wattegama. He was a hardline participant at various May Day rallies.
The incident took place at First Cross Street in Petta. A member of the group that I was leading held his chest and sat down when we were heading to the train station. I think he passed away in a matter of minutes.
Dr. Anil Jasinghe, the director of the National Hospital, said the individual was dead upon admission. 62-year-old W. Chandrapala, who attended the May Day rally at the Golface Green, was rushed to hospital after suddenly taking ill. He was dead at the time of admission. The deceased was a resident from Alvathura Road in Nivitigala. One person who attended the May Day rally at the Golface Green was injured after falling off a bus in Olkat Mawatha, Colombo. He was a resident from Variapola. Another person was run over by a bus after falling off it. He had attended the May Day rally in Campbell Park. The victim was a 44-year-old from Sigiriya. It's reported that he met with the untimely death when heading back to Sigiriya after attending the UNP May Day rally. Police said that a majority of the passengers had disembarked at the Pidurangala junction. The victim had fallen off the footboard when the bus had moved forward and was then run over.
The police constable arrested for allegedly shooting the symbolic elephant statue at the UNP headquarters in Sirikota has been further remanded until the 15th of this month after he was produced before the Gangudavilla Magistrates Court.
The accused is a 40-year-old police constable attached to the Mirihana police. The constable had carried out the shooting with his official firearm at around 5:30 p.m. while he was on duty. Police said investigations are underway to ascertain whether the shooting was carried out intentionally or out of negligence. Police are also making arrangements to consult and obtain a report from a psychiatrist.
JVP leader Anurukumara Dissanayake had this to say at the party's May Day rally yesterday.
The loss incurred across 21 months by not purchasing bonds directly from the central bank but by using the Employee Provident Fund is 1,015,000 rupees. The profit earned by Arjuna Mahindran for those 21 months is 1,015,000 rupees. I'd like to ask Ranil Wickramasinghe for who he is governing the country. Is it for the working class? No. It is for perpetual treasuries and for Arjuna Mahindran. Remember that this is for Arjun Aloysius and not for the people of this country. I'd like to ensure that if Ravi Karunanayake and Ranil Wickramasinghe attempt to tax the EPF, the inter-organisation employee unions are ready to fight them. No one wanted Ranil Wickramasinghe to be the leader of this country. Ranil Wickramasinghe could not even save his party leader position. The people of this country did not vote for Ranil Wickramasinghe in 2015.
Various points of views were put forward during yesterday's May Day rallies on amending the constitution via a people's referendum. What are the positions of the key political parties?
This country needs a new constitution. We will be committed to make the dream of a new constitution, a constitution that is suitable to the modern world and that is adopted by all the people of this country through a people's referendum, a reality.
We will change this constitution. We will change the presidential system in this constitution. We will hold a referendum. We are not afraid. It is only Mahinda Rajapaksa's cartel that will oppose this.
All parties will come together and make a collective decision in the near future. The President is eagerly awaiting this decision. He is not a leader who looks to consolidate power around himself. He always looks to devolve power. Our hope is that the end result will be a constitution which ensures that all communities can live together as equals, and also a constitution that we can all have faith in.
The executive presidency must clearly be abolished. In order to abolish it, a new constitution must be drafted. As per the provisions, the proposal must be adopted by a majority of 2/3 in parliament. The JVP's position is that a new constitution is essential. It is also our position that it must be passed through a referendum.
They are setting traps to introduce this as a 20th amendment instead of holding a people's referendum. While their trap has been revealed, they are spouting stories. How can a government which does not hold elections hold a referendum? Will a government that is afraid of the local government elections hold a referendum?
If politicians act to give us rights without a constitution, it will be an empty endeavour and there will be no legality. If we are to hope for any legality to these rights, then it must happen through an amendment to the constitution.
Is the country facing another power crisis? This is a Newsfirst investigation.
There are serious challenges facing the power sector today as a result of the long drought, the lack of rain to replenish reservoirs, and the constant breakdowns at the Norochole power station. The Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy says hydropower has been limited to 10% of the total power supply at present. Thereby, a majority of the country's demand for power is being met by thermal power stations, a majority of which are privately owned. Generator 1 at the Norochole power station remains inoperational. The high-tension transmission lines from Norochole to Kulonnava via Keralapitia were also damaged when the garbage dump at Meetotamulla collapsed.
One pylon on the 132 transmission system from Norochole to Colombo was tilted as a result of the collapse of the garbage dump. We removed that pylon and are making repairs. At present, there is no means to carry power generated in Norochole to Colombo, so we will have to use the hydropower stations.
Batagoda added that as a short-term solution to the problem, a total of 60 1-megawatt mobile generators have been obtained from the private sector. The ministry has called for tenders to purchase 50 such generators by August. There are 275 industrialists registered with us. We will affix the necessary meters and use the additional generators they have. When using a diesel generator, it costs between 28 and 30 rupees per unit. We have decided to pay 36 rupees. We have purchased 60 megawatts so far, and we will not have to do this much longer as we are hoping to purchase 50 generators in August and add them to the grid. Experts have said that 20,000 megawatts can be generated in this country through solar power. When it shines, the reservoirs are empty, but we say that this is a country that can generate electricity, rain or shine.
This situation has arisen in 2017 because of the weaknesses and shortcomings in the CEB's long-term plan submitted in 2010. The only solution the CEB had was a coal-fired power plant in Sampur. Because of the shortcomings in the plan, this did not happen and they did not look at any alternatives either. The problem now is that power stations were not built at the appropriate time to meet the increasing demand. However, at the end of the day, the people who are accountable and the people who will suffer from this are the consumers of this country and the country as a whole.
There are quack engineers and corrupt individuals who have intervened in the CEB to create a major crisis. Even today, in Parliament, these quack engineers are making speeches. The diesel mafia and the crisis arose because of this interference. A proper plan was presented in August 2015. Building power stations to meet the demand is not the only solution. We must also incorporate demand management. I believe that trade unions should not act to increase the amount on their pay slips, but should act out of responsibility to the nation.
ජාතික වගකීමකින් යුතුව ක්‍රියා කළ යුතුයි කියලාත් මම හිතනවා.
අපිට පෙනෙමින් තිබෙන්නේ ලංකා.
It appears to us that several officials at the CEB and a group from the ministry, including the Secretary Suren Batagoda, are acting with the knowledge of the minister and the political leadership to earn massive profits for themselves. The ministry has not been able to find a solution for the power crisis over the past 2 years. There is a need for political intervention to put a stop to this. Influence groups in this country must send a clear message to send the minister in charge of the power and energy sector and the corrupt officials home.
It was revealed before the Presidential Commission today that the Employees Provident Fund had made bond purchases to the tune of 140 billion rupees from the secondary market during the period under investigation. A witness revealed that 80% of these purchases were made from Perpetual Treasuries Limited. Newsfirst, Zulfiq Farzan reports.
Former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. W.A. Vijayawardena, appeared before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry for the fourth time. Dr. Vijayawardena agreed to the suggestion that the possibility of corruption taking place in private placements was far greater than in a transparent auction process. The witness said that when it comes to private placements, the Public Debt Department was given the discretion of making certain decisions with the consultation of the Ministry of Finance. He also said that the individual appointed as Superintendent of Public Debt should have at least 20 years of public debt experience.
In his evidence today, Dr. W.A. Vijayawardena said that there is apparently a gazette notification that empowers the Public Debt Department to make direct placements with primary dealers. Now, this was the first time that the issue of such a gazette notification was brought to the light of the Commission, and the Attorney General's Department informed the Commission that if there is such a gazette notification, that submission will be made to the Commission. Now, meanwhile, Vasantha Samarasinghe, the convener of the Voice Against Corruption, also provided evidence before the Commission. This was to elaborate on the submissions that he had made. However, the counsels appearing for the former governor as well as the current deputy governor and Perpetual Treasuries Limited raised objections to the submissions made by Vasantha Samarasinghe, citing that he is not an expert in this field.
Vasantha Samarasinghe was questioned on the submissions that he made to the Commission on an earlier occasion. In his statement, he alleged that Perpetual Treasuries Limited had sold treasury bills and bonds, some even at a loss, in order to raise money to purchase the impugned 30-year bond. Samarasinghe also took the responsibility of a purported audit report compiled on the bond scam. He will appear before the Commission again tomorrow.
The country is aware who the rogues are and how the theft was committed. The bond scam is the only theft in this country where the rogues roam free. We believe that the law of the land will not allow these rogues who looted public funds to be free in the open. The Voice Against Corruption will continue its struggle against those rogues who looted the central bank funds and the people who protect these rogues.
The failings and alleged fraud being exposed by the Presidential Commission continues to confound the Sri Lankan public. It may therefore bring some measure of comfort to see the frustration felt by a British member of the European Parliament over the workings of the global banking sector.
It is my opinion that you do not really understand the concept of banking. All the banks are broke. Bank Santander, Deutsche Bank, Royal Bank of Scotland, they're all broke. And why are they broke? It isn't an act of God. It isn't some sort of tsunami. They're broke because we have a system called fractional reserve banking, which means that banks can lend money that they don't actually have. It's a criminal scandal, and it's been going on for too long. To add to that problem, you have moral hazard, a very significant moral hazard from the political sphere. And most of the problem starts in politics and central banks, which are part of the same political system. We have counterfeiting, sometimes called quantitative easing, but counterfeiting by any other name. The artificial printing of money, which if any ordinary person did, they'd go to prison for a very long time. And yet governments and central banks do it all the time. Central banks repress the amount of interest that rates are, so we don't have the real cost of money, and yet we blame the real retail banks for manipulating LIBOR. The sheer effrontery of this is quite astonishing. It's central banks that manipulate interest rates, Commissioner. And plus, underneath all this, we talk loosely, in a rather cavalier fashion, do we not, about deposit guarantees. So when banks go broke through their own incompetence and chicanery, the taxpayer picks up the tab. It's theft from the taxpayer. And until we start sending bankers, and I include central bankers and politicians, to prison for this outrage, it will continue.
A 6-year-old boy suffered serious wounds when he was mauled by a pack of stray dogs. He is currently being treated at the Gampola Teaching Hospital.
Mohammad Kushman of Bothalapitiya Gampola was set upon by a pack of stray dogs the day before yesterday when he was returning home from the mosque. Area residents rescued the boy and admitted him to the Gampola Teaching Hospital. A hospital spokesperson said the boy had sustained 40 separate injuries in the vicious attack.
He was unconscious. He had wounds on his head, his legs and everywhere else. We cannot let this happen to one of our children because of a pack of strays. We must not allow this to happen to another person.
The pack of dogs have eaten a goat and 5 chickens. They have killed about 10 cats. There are about 300 to 400 such dogs in Gampola. We pay taxes to the urban council and we call on the authorities to give a correct solution to this problem.
For many years, stray dogs in Gampola have frequented schools, hospitals and other public spaces. Several people have also been killed after contracting rabies from dog bites. The same problem applies to Pussellava as well. We call on the authorities to immediately resolve this problem. The Veterinarians Collective to Eradicate Rabies commenced a program in Gampola today to neuter stray dogs.
After we received the report yesterday, we came here immediately and neutered and spayed all the male and female dogs. We have also administered rabies vaccines. If all the local government councils facing such crises assist us in this endeavour, we can be successful.
It seems to us that there is a lack of resources and staff in this country to ensure the success of the program to neuter and spay these dogs.
Through this program, we can only perform procedures on 10 to 15 dogs each day. The number of staff we have is negligible. There are about 3,000 to 4,000 dogs in each city. It is difficult to control the situation by neutering and spaying such a small number of dogs.
Your life, our news.
A group had assaulted a man at the Nurelia Economic Center. Now police have launched an investigation to identify the attackers. Our correspondent reports that an altercation broke out when prices for the wholesale purchases at the Nurelia Economic Center was being decided.
There
was a discussion on the prices of carrots several days ago, but a day later the individual was cornered and assaulted inhumanly. I stepped forward to save him. The injured businessman was admitted to the Kandy General Hospital.
In sports news now, Sri Lanka has signed up former South African fast bowler Alan Donald ahead of the Champions Trophy. Donald, considered one of the most prolific pacemen of all time, has made his first appearance before the media since his appointment.
Alan Donald was signed on as a consultant fast bowling coach for 2 months in the run-up to the tournament starting on the 1st of June.
from a coaching capacity, it is a fantastic opportunity to work with a very talented group of people, a fantastic coaching group that is going over to the UK. I'm really looking forward to this challenge ahead. I'm definitely not here to come over and jump in both feet and change things just willy-nilly. It's not how it works. It's for me to use the next couple of weeks to know everyone really well, and then take it from there.
Malinga match fitness ne.
Malinga has not reached the required fitness level, which is to bowl 10 overs. We have created a program where he will gradually reach the level to bowl 10 overs. Technically, it is an advantage for us to have him bowl for a team at the IPL. Malinga has the thirst to win. Therefore, he joins the Sri Lanka team with the aim of securing victory in every match that he plays.
And with that, we wrap up this edition of Primetime News.
And before we leave you tonight, a quick reminder to stay with us on TV1 for Biz in Focus. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Sandhu Ferdinando.
And I'm Azra Hassan. Take care and good night.
Scandal of the century, the bond scam.
The people don't see that angle that much. How the bond scam has affected the industries, but at the same time, all the banks in Sri Lanka are making huge profits. Bond scam has facilitated the banks to charge additional interest, and who is paying? The industry is paying.